If you're like me, you've probably spent a small fortune to keep your hands warm while riding in the winter. Everything from insulated gloves, waterproof gloves, glove systems, and even mitts. After reviewing really cheap solutions to really expensive gloves, there is one thing I've learned. After a certain point, a glove just won't cut it. No matter how waterproof it's advertised, given a big enough storm, enough water, it's gonna soak through. That's just what happens. And beyond just waterproofness, because your fingers are kind of spread out, given enough wind and low temperatures, your hands and fingers are just gonna get cold, go numb, and yeah, it's gonna suck. What if I told you there was a solution so you could wear a really thin liner glove like these guys from Defeat and have your hands toasty and balmy even when temps are around freezing or even below? Well, my friends, the solution is here. Stop wasting your money on expensive insulated waterproof gloves and get one of these guys. This is the Pogi Lite, which I've been testing over the last couple weeks here in Montana. So Pogies aren't new. I've actually reviewed the Barmit on the channel before. What sets the Pogi Lite apart from the other Pogies on the market is that it's meant to be like a 3 or 4 season Pogi. By that I mean most Pogies are really overbuilt and insulated. They're meant for ultra cold temperatures. The Pogi Lites take the same concept and make it more applicable to more people that don't race the idea of the bike. Like the name suggests, these are pretty light. A pair of them weighs in at just over 4 ounces on our scales. Material is waterproof, and although there's no insulation, it keeps your hands remarkably warm. One cool thing about the Pogi Lites that's completely different from other Pogies out there on the market is that you can use the same one for both drop bars as well as flat bars or alt bars. With something like the Barmit, you have to get the drop bar specific one if you want to use it with drops, but with the Pogi Lite you just get one pair. You can put it on your mountain bike or on your gravel bike. I think it's pretty self-explanatory to see how these work on a flat bar bike. So let's take a closer look on how it works with a drop bar bike. This is my Crispin Bora. This is the Pogi connected to the drop bar already. As you're riding along, you simply slip your hand into the pocket here, and if you have integrated drifters, then you have access to your brake and your shifting. The beauty of this is as you exert effort, your hands are expending heat and it actually forms a warm air bubble right here. It's crazy, but it gets absolutely balmy inside. When using it for drops, there is a bit of a compromise. You have to kind of choose between the on the hoods or the drop bar position. I tend to ride in the hood, so I optimized it for hood use. And I know this motion of getting in and out seems kind of tricky at first, but trust me, you can adapt. Another really nice thing about the Pogi Lite is because the material isn't so built up. Let's say you have to stop all of a sudden and you can't get your hand inside this hole for whatever reason in time. You can simply just go on the hoods and still actuate the brake. You cannot do this with any other Pogi out there. In the same vein, let's say you want to get into the hoods really quickly, you can simply just grab the outer material and still actuate the brake. Or let's say you're riding and all of a sudden the sun comes out and your hands are getting really hot. You don't have to undo the whole thing. You can simply just pull this over and let it hang like that. So that way you have access to the tops and the hooks of the drop bar. Let's say you're at the top and it's time to descend. Again, you just pull this over the brakes and there you go. Your hands are going to be nice and toasty warm during the descent. I'll show you guys really quickly how to install this on a drop bar and some general tips that I've found. So first off, to install this on a drop bar where you want to use the tops as the primary position, you want to go with the big side first and kind of work this over. You might have to squeeze the lever to get that through. And what I have found is you want to choke this part up fairly high on the drops, just so it keeps this mouth opening pretty open. It seems to work better the more you choke it up. You can cinch this bottom part up. There's a little catch here, and you can, just do a couple wraps, tie it into itself, and bam, there you go. With enough time as you're riding, you'll be able to set this up one-handed and slip your hand in there, no problem. So I know what you're thinking, what are the downsides of the Pogi Lite? Probably the biggest one is that it works best if you have an integrated brake and shifter drop bar lever. It's not going to work with something like the Gevinal shifters. I have tried this on my Bear Claw, which has the bar end on the right side, and I can make it work because I'm used to, kind of sticking my hand out here and popping out really quickly to shift. But honestly, that's probably the only issue. It doesn't work with Gevinal shifters, or if you have older let's say 9-speed STI shifters where the cable comes out the side, or even the Advent X drop bar shifter. Not going to work with that because there's no exit hole to run the cable out. In terms of what kind of liner glove you could use a cheap fleece glove. I like to use these wool gloves from Defeat. They're pretty thin and breathable and have been warm enough when combined with this in temperatures hovering around freezing. For sub-freezing temps and riding in snowy weather, I'm probably going to switch to these guys. These are the waterproof gloves by Showers Pass. I like using these when they get really cold because there is an additional level of wind protection. Also, when I knock snow off the bike or off myself, if it melts, it's not going to get my hands wet because there is a waterproof membrane with these guys, but still fairly thin. In terms of use cases, these would be perfect for winter commuting or even going bike packing and bike touring. Up until these came out, there wasn't a real lightweight packable option. The Bar Mitts was probably the smallest one, but it took up so much space. This, however, you can totally fold up, put it in the back of your jersey pocket or put it away in a bag. It takes that Pogi concept, downsizes it so it can be used by more people. These are handmade in Iowa by the folks over at Bike Iowa, and I bought these with my own money, and I think they are worth every single penny. These would have been perfect for the Ochiko Overlander when my hands were freezing because we had multiple days of freezing rain. These would have kept my hands dry and warm without a ton of bulk. 100% perfect for a situation like that. I know in our Discord there are some people that have used these into single-digit temperatures going fat biking. I've only used them so far in the 30s. It hasn't dipped below the 30s yet in Montana, but it is coming, and I'm definitely going to be taking these out on the bike. Yes, these cost some money, but I think it's a better investment than in these supposedly super high-tech and waterproof breathable gloves that always seem to fail. I mean, that they just do after a while. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. Have you guys ever considered Pogies, or are they too weird and not roadie-like for you? If you guys found this video helpful or entertaining, consider supporting the channel on Patreon. It's the best way to do it. Gives us a budget to buy gear and test gear. Plus you get access to some pretty awesome giveaways. Or stop by the web store. We just got a brand new shipment of Party Pace bronze stem caps. Have to sell them all before we leave Montana for the winter, so definitely check out that link. And as always, keep the supple side down.